Are you music theoretically challenged? Music theory can be pretty dull stuff. However, it is super useful once you know a little bit and you don't have to get bogged down by it. So if you want to brush up on your music theory, stay tuned. We're going to start right off with the basics today, so if it is far too basic, skip ahead or leave entirely. It's up to you really. Okay, so first up, let's do the note names. What are the notes? You can see on the display here what the notes are. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and then we're back at C again. So really there are 7 white keys and they just repeat over and over again. But we've also got sharp notes in there, or flat notes, and those are the black keys. Here are those. C sharp, D sharp, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp. They also have flat names as well, but let's not worry about that for now. So there are a total of 12 notes that you can use. C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, C. We're back at C there, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then you're back at C. Cool, makes sense. So next thing to know is what is a semitone, what is a tone? So a semitone is the smallest distance between 2 notes. So going from the C to the C sharp there is a semitone. Going from the C to the D is a tone. So these 2 differences are what are called intervals. And this is going to be important for us when we are building up chords. Another thing to know is what an octave is. So as I said, there's kind of a repeating pattern of those 12 notes up and down the whole keyboard. So this C here, which is low, is the same as this C, is the same as this C, is the same as this C. It's just the same pitch, but it's an octave higher, so double the frequency. So it's what's called an octave. So you might hear someone say, oh, can we play that in a higher octave? It's the same thing, it's just played 12 notes higher up. Okay, so next up, what is a key? A key is a collection of notes that belong to a certain scale. So a key is often made up of 2 pieces of information. There is the root of the key. So if it starts off on one key, say the key of C, chances are it's going to be in the key of C. If it starts on the A, it's going to be in the key of A, most likely. And chances are it will start on that note, end on that note, and probably revisit that note several times. It gives a set of notes a sense of home. So we have this first piece of information, that is the note that the key is belonging to. Next we have the scale. So is it going to be a major sound or a minor sound? Major sounds happy, more triumphant, uplifting. Minor sounds reflective, sad, melancholy, all of those kind of sounds. So say we've got C major. Those notes belong to C major. Say we had A minor. So that should sound a little bit darker, a little bit more melancholic than the first one. So those were 2 different scales, C major and A minor. The major reflecting that the notes in it were happier, more uplifting, and the minor being more sad. So I'll play C major now and then C minor, and you can hopefully see the difference. C major. And now C minor. So slightly different notes in there, but both in the key of C, one being the C major, one being the C minor. Good thing is you don't have to remember all these keys. You don't have to remember C major, B major, A major, F major, G major, etc. and then all the minor keys. All you actually have to know is how you formulate these keys. To get started, you only need 2 formulas really, the major formula and the minor formula. You know how I said the tone and semitone thing would be important? Well, here it is. So to form a major scale, all you need to know is the following: tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. And that is the order of tones and semitones that you have to apply in order to make a major scale. So let's apply that to the keyboard. So you start off with your first note, your root, and then you apply that formula. So here's the C, tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. And now let's look at the formula for a minor scale. So starting with A minor as our root. So we go tone, semitone, tone, tone, semitone, tone, tone. So there you have the two different formulas for major and for minor. And something you may have noticed is that all of the notes in the key of C major are also in the key of A minor. That is because they are relative to each other. So A minor is the relative minor scale of C major. What does this mean? It just means that they share the same notes. Difference being that A is the root for the minor and C is the root for the major. C for the major, A for the minor. So if you look on screen here, hopefully those formulas, you can see that they are contained within each other. They just start at different places. And if you just keep going back through them, you'll notice that the same formula comes up. So every key has a relative major and a minor to it. And you can find the relative minor of a key by moving 3 semitones down from the major, or vice versa. So C major, go down 1 semitone, down 2 semitones, down 3 semitones, and then you get to A or A minor. Make sense? Cool. Once you've got scales down, we can start thinking about chords and building up chords. A chord is simply 2 notes or more played together. And if you play 3 notes in a chord, it's a very common chord type called a triad. So let's have a look at those now. So when you're playing a scale, like we did just now, you can also number the notes in the order that they come. So for instance, if we start on C here, that would be the first note in the scale, D the second note, E the third note, F the fourth note, G the fifth note, A the sixth note, B the seventh note, and that's it. We're back at C again, which would be the first note in the scale. So you can give each of them a number like this. So there are 4 common chord types. We're only really going to look at major and minor for this, but there are also diminished and augmented. These are simple chords that are found in these major and minor scales. So how do we form some of these chords? So first off, we need a root. So whatever the lowest note in the chord is generally the root of that chord. So C. If we now add some notes on here, it's most likely going to be a C chord. That would be a C major chord. So just like there was a formula for doing major and minor scales, there's also one we can use for making major and minor chords. It requires us to know the tones and semitones like we looked at before. This formula is very easy. All you need to know for a major chord is 4-3, and for a minor chord 3-4. And that's just the order of the notes. So let me show you. So if I've got a C here starting as our root, if I go up 1, 2, 3, 4, going up 4 semitones there gives us the interval of a major third. Bear with me. So we get those two together, which is a C and an E. But if we go up another 3 now, remember that 4-3 I just talked about. So from the E we go F, F sharp, G, and we play that as well. You've now got a C major triad. So you've got 4 from here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then from here, 1, 2, 3. So that gets you a C major chord. If we wanted a minor, then we have to flip it. We have to do a 3 and a 4. So if I start with my C again, go up 1, go 2, go 3, there is D sharp. And notice that's got more of a minor quality to it. And now we do our 4 up from there. 1, 2, 3, 4. You've now got a C minor chord. Notice the difference, C major and C minor. The C minor sounds darker and sadder. And essentially you just apply that to all the different chords. So is it going to be a major or a minor or potentially a diminished or augmented? There is one diminished chord in the key of C major and in A minor. And that's the B diminished, which sounds like this. And that is made up of 3 and 3. So from B, 1, 2, 3, and then another 3 from there. And that is the sound of a diminished chord, 3 and 3. That's how you'd remember that. Do you remember how I said each note can be given a number? Well, let's look at that here. So you've got C. Then if you play that third, you've got the third key, E, and then the fifth would be G. That's playing the 1, 3, 5. And there's 3 notes, and that's why it's a triad. But you can also do 7th notes as well if you want to go a bit more interesting. A more simple way of looking at it can be just being like, play 1 note, miss a note. in the key of C. Play one note, miss a note. Play a note, miss a note. So C, miss D out, play E, miss F out, play G, would look like this. And then if you want to miss out another white note, and then you play this one, you've now got a 7th chord. You've got C major 7. So we're just adding that 7th one on in the scale. Let's just go back to the triads for a second. You can actually move this shape up or down. So you can go C, D minor. Notice how they're still missing one out each time. E minor, missing one out each time. Note, miss a note, note, miss a note, note. G. A minor. B diminished. And back at C. And those are all the chords in the key of C major. Okay, let's go a bit further and look at 7ths. Common 7th chords are called a major 7th, a minor 7th, a dominant 7th, a half diminished 7th, and a fully diminished 7th. So 5 main types of 7th chord. So we just have to add the 7th to those chords that we just played, and you'll get a slightly different tonality. So let's have a look at that. There's our C chord. Add in the 7th chord. So we've got 1, 3, and 5. Let's add in 7. That's the B. And we're just going to move that same pattern up. Play a note, miss a note. Has a bit more tonality to it. It's a bit more interesting because you've got that extra interval in there now. Okay, and flying through, we're just going to quickly look at chord progressions as well. So you might have heard the term chord progression. What does this mean? It just means that there are certain chords that play in a pattern. So one of these would be the 1, 4, 5 you may have heard of, or the 1, 5, 6, 4, or the 2, 5, 1. These are all popular chord progressions. There are certain few chords that play in the same order, and that gets repeated. So for instance, this is a 1, 4, 5 in C. So it's just referring to which note the chord falls on in the scale. So remember we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So if we play a 1, 4, 5, it would be 1 as a C, F is the 4th, G is the 5th. And if we make triads off the top of that, and that's a 1, 4, 5, and we're back to the 1. Does that make sense? Or one I mentioned a second ago was a 1, 5, 6, 4. 1, 6, 4, 5. Or a 1, 5, 6, 4. And that's probably the most commonly used chord progression in pop music, rock music. It's everywhere. You would have heard that before. Okay, and there's one other chord progression I recommend we have a quick look at, and that's the 2, 5, 1. So the 2, 5, 1 means we would, can you guess? We start on the 2, you go to the 5, and then you go to the 1. So in the key of C, starting on the 2 would mean not starting on the C, but starting on the D. So this is going to be major as well, so we're going to follow the major pattern. So there's your 2, it starts on a D minor, goes to the 5, which is a major, G, and then the 1. You might have heard that at the end of songs, but this kind of chord progression is used a lot in more traditional music styles, such as jazz, blues, funk, soul, rhythm and blues, that kind of thing. So those are some basic chord progressions. We're just going to touch on those today. If you want to learn some more helpful music production stuff, then check out this video because YouTube thinks you'll like it. See you on another video. Take care. Bye.